1950, the Ministry of Defence built this vertical tunnel to study the cause of flat spin, an aerodynamic phenomenon which renders plane controls useless. Today, it's the home of body flight, and for the past 3 years, top-class athletes from all over the world have been coming to Bedford for an international sporting competition. This is the Indoor Skydiving World Challenge.
A wind tunnel started about 10 years ago in the United States, and it became very useful for trainings and for improving the specific skills.
We generate wind speeds of anything from 100 to 200 miles an hour. Normally people fly on the belly at around 120 miles an hour. We have a large propeller at the top of the tunnel that generates that thrust, anything up to 4,000 horsepower.
The feel of the air in a tunnel is almost exactly the same as outdoors when you're skydiving, except that it's warmer.
It's very accessible for people who don't necessarily understand skydiving. They can see what it is in close quarters, and it's a lot of fun. We try to make it a little wild for everybody.
No parachutes, no airplanes, nice and safe.
In a very short period of time, you accumulate so much flying time. Like we were here training 2 weeks ago, we did 2.5 hours, which is more than 120 minutes, obviously. And a jump normally is a minute of flying time. So in a weekend, you do 120 jumps.
Nowadays, skydivers can reach skill levels which were unthinkable 5 to 10 years ago.
You can imagine in the sky you have infinite space. So just to do one maneuver, you might be traveling really far. In the tunnel, obviously, it's a little more confined, so it makes you more technically precise.
Obviously you don't have to exit an aircraft, and in outdoor skydiving that's quite an important part of the sport. It's quite tricky to exit the aircraft and get flying very quickly, so you can't really compete in an outdoor skydiving competition without doing quite a lot of skydives.
But the real difference is mindset. You can go into the tunnel knowing you can step out a moment later if you don't like it and there isn't a problem. But there's a moment of commitment where you have to look out of the door of an aircraft and see that there's 3 miles between you and the ground, and you have to decide whether or not you want to leave.
The World Challenge features 2 disciplines. 4-way, where teams of 4 complete as many different formations as possible within a 35-second time frame. And then there's 2-way free fly, an artistic form of skydiving where pairs perform a number of compulsory moves and freestyle routines, with judges marking their different performances.
It's such a cool thing to be able to compete with all the top teams from all around the world, but be able to watch them actually do their thing, 3 feet away, which obviously you can't do that in the sky when there's skydiving competitions, so it's a great atmosphere.
This contest, I believe, has been 3 years, and it's one of the best. It's the one that everyone knows you come here, you represent, you show your new style of flying. This is the competition where you come and bring the big stuff.
Another positive is that you can go indoor skydiving from as young as 5 years old, so more and more youngsters are gaining crucial early experience. By the time they're 16 and old enough to skydive for real, they'll be very competitive very quickly. A case in point are brother and sister Justin and Kayla Tinucci. At just 9 and 11, they were the only team to enter the formation category and the free fly. Indeed, they're the youngest 2-way free fly team in the world.
Yeah, these wind tunnels are really awesome, and I especially like this one.
Eventually we want to get it to become an Olympic sport.
Yeah, and someday we really want to win.
And talking of winning, the 4-way battle went down to the wire, with Team XL and USA Airspeed Odyssey going into the final round dead level. But it was the Americans who stole the narrowest of victories to claim their 3rd successive title.
last year we had about 19 teams that showed up. This year there's 40, so there's a lot more action going on. The competition itself is as challenging as it was last year, so it's been great, very, very rewarding.
In two-way, Bodyflight Mamba took gold with stunning routines like this.
Picture? It's good. It's good. Yeah. What was the question again? We definitely trained very hard for this year. We got our ass kicked last year. We got second place, so we had to put it up a notch for this year. We learned the last year a lot, I think. So we've been more calm this year, but it's always very intense to go for a competition again, like all the feeling you're going through. But we ruled this one. We won 8 out of 9 of the rounds, so
yeah. Wow.
And coming here, of course, we have to defend our title for next year. So boys, bring it up, man. We're waiting.